What is up, guys? My name is Nash and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about how to improve your analytical skills. And before I even get started, I want to go ahead and grab the definition. All right, so it's pretty much defined as the ability to deconstruct information into smaller categories in order to draw conclusions. All right, so that simply means that you're able to break down information into small pieces that you can really focus on and come to the conclusion after you analyze those pieces of information. So the question remains, how do you become more analytical, right? Because this is not something that anyone is born with. You have to learn the skill, Even though this is pretty much the same thing as logical reasoning, it also involves things like critical thinking, because you actually need to think about these situations. You can use your logic, but you actually need to add, critical thinking to it. And if you look at critical thinking, it's going to, include things like doing research to make sure that you're thinking about the right things. And with research comes data analysis. Once you do your research and you have all this data, you want to be able to analyze that data in order to come to the conclusion. So it's a lot deeper than it looks. So I want to talk about some of the things that you can do to improve your analytical skills. All right, so the first one is going to be observe and ask a lot of questions and write everything down. So pretty much when someone is explaining something to you, you want to make sure that you're paying attention. And if you're a person that always forgets things right after, like someone tells you their name and you forget the name like 2 seconds right after they just told you, so you definitely might want to write things down, because that's going to help you remember. You can reference back to it. And sometimes what helps is asking a lot of questions, right? So if someone told me something, and I would ask him a lot of questions to make sure that I'm able to understand the whole thing. And also asking a lot of questions is going to trick your brain into, liking the subject, because you're asking a lot of questions. Therefore, it's a lot easier to remember because, your brain enjoyed, thinking about the subject. So you want to make sure that you ask a lot of questions. And the next one is going to be don't rush anything. So your brain or mind is going to need time to process everything, right? Especially if you're receiving a lot of information that requires you to use your critical thinking skills. Make sure that you let it settle, just don't act on it. You want to make sure that you allow your mind to process everything, right? To process all the details. And once everything's processed, you're going to be able to really dissect this information into smaller bits of information. And it's also important to know that, if someone gives you a lot of information and they want an answer right then and there, you can just say, I need time to think about this. So a good example would be if you are applying for jobs and you have your first interview and they offer you a job, you don't accept it right then and there, right? You say, let me think about it. Maybe you need a day or two or maybe a week, just to kind of let it settle and see if there's, other options, So this is just going to give you more time to make wise decisions. And the last one is going to be the more you practice, the better you get. So if you wanted to take, these analytical skills into work, I talk a lot about finance. So my examples are going to be, in the financial industry. But let's say you were a financial analyst and someone just explained to you how to use pivot tables in Microsoft Excel. And, you feel like you got it, right? You can remember all the steps. But if you don't practice it the first time you do it, you're going to be so confused, right? Because you want to get used to that, to the process of doing it. So don't just store the information in your brain or don't just write it down. You want to make sure that you're practicing and getting feedback from people that actually know how to do what you're trying to do. All right, so that is pretty much it for this video. Let me know if I missed anything or if you guys think anything else is important to add to this. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. And I'm out. Peace.